What's your main question or main idea in this forum?
Well, we are discovering that the current level of economic activity is wholly inefficient. That inefficiency leads to problems with not only climate change, but the inability to provide jobs for people, income. There is a need to transform the way we do business in the economy, emphasizing what we call the third industrial revolution. That is to say, bringing together new forms of energy with new forms of communication. Those communications allowing us to do a better job of managing our resources, and the energies allowing much more productive use of all of our resources. Those two together, new communication, new energy, transforming the ability of the economy to provide a greater level of jobs, greater level of income, and meeting the needs of the civil society. And in France, in Nord-Pas-de-Calais, a region of about 4 million people up in the northeastern part of the country, they understood the need to act quickly so as to bolster a weakening economy. And what they said was that we needed a master plan to help us chart the path forward. And we laid that out with a number of working people, working groups, over several months, working both with industry, working with the regional council, the government, to pull that plan together. And they formally accepted that last year, late last year, and now beginning to look for ways to finance, actually to leverage the 200 billion euros that we think it's going to take to make that happen.
Okay. Today we will meet in this forum is with Mr. Jeffrey Sachs, and he said about Russian scientist Kondratiev and this idea with waves, many waves, every 50 years.
Long waves, yes.
Waves and another big maybe insight was in the Toffler.
Yes.
It was very interesting. Three wives, the third wife by Toffler.
Yes.
And now your point with third revolution, third industrial revolution. What is main point and what is practical use of this?
Yeah, a very good question. Yes, I'm certainly familiar with Kondratiev's work, the idea of long waves and successive transformation, and I think he was right on with this difference. For the first time, our economy and our population has become so large that it is weakening the environment. It's weakening the level of resources, creating more problems than it's solving. And we've never had that kind of constraint before. So when Kondratiev wrote his books in the early 1900s, there was not the same pressure on the environment, on the climate, and on regional resources as there is today. So the new wave that has to come along, what we call the third industrial revolution, is trying to elevate economic activity towards much more productive use of energy and other resources to transform the way we do business, provide new services, new goods, with new technologies.
Maybe you can say about what kind of business now is more perspective of in your what you.
Yes, so good question. So we have companies like Schneider Electric, for example, that is able to work with manufacturing firms to install sensors throughout all of the industrial process, and then to use real-time dynamic optimization techniques that say, aha, we need a little bit more energy over here, less over here. We need it now, and we need it in this precise amount for this purpose. That is an optimization that smartly reduces the need for total energy maybe by 30 or 35% because they're able to use real-time information through sensors and through programming to understand how the manufacturing process is actually proceeding in ways that we may not be able to understand simply by observing it as say, a foreman on a plant manager. So those techniques are able to real-time assemble new ways of operating that industry.
For example, in France, we know is good program with electromobility in Paris.
Yes.
Electromobile is electro car.
Yes.
Is very good device with very industrial and very now is big computer and big clever, smart.
Yes.
So maybe it's one the sample of the new.
So there's three elements to the idea of
new devices of the next step.
That's right. So we can improve the fuel economy or the improved use of electricity to move the car. We can improve the logistics of how the car needs to be actually put to use so that we make a smarter flow of traffic. We have signals that real-time monitor the actual movement of cars on the streets so as to reprogram the signals that encourage continuous flow rather than stop and start all the time. And we have new technologies that allow manufacturing of goods to be closer to where people actually need them, so you don't have to transport them as far. Three different elements of the transportation system, all of which then reduces the need for energy so that you have your groceries or you have your medicines or you have your clothes delivered more smartly in real time in ways that use less energy.
And trading chambers in Calais, yes?
Yes.
Is have one of purposes with electro cars.
Yes.
And which way? And I know is exists the European program for development of electric cars.
Yes.
And will you forwarding, or will you some promoting this program in your activity?
Yes. Well, it's a good question, and it has several different elements. On the one hand, the universities are working very actively to try and train people on how to integrate these new technologies, these new transportation means, so that it brings it to the market, brings it to the ability of people to use them immediately. So the universities are very important, both on the research and development side and on the logistics side. In other words, how to make sure that you have the right car or the right goods in the right place at the right time, new form of logistics. The second element is then actually training people how themselves to use these technologies. And then the third is then, yes, improving the performance of the vehicle, whether battery technology or whether different forms of energies that can be used to provide mobility of that particular car. And we might even add a fourth with information so people know more quickly and more conveniently how and when to access either the vehicles or the goods that they need to have delivered to their homes or to their businesses.
Can you put the influence in European decision in electric cars in the whole European Union or in France?
If I understand, I'm not quite sure I understand.
Make you some push some ideas or technician some devices.
Yes.
Which we have, yes, which make now, which to the market.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, so the first step that they recognize in Nord-Pas-de-Calais is to create a vision of what can be done, to encourage people's general understanding of knowing that there needs to be changes if their economy is going to be sustainable over a long period of time. It can't be underestimated how important it is for the average person to know the importance of moving in this new direction, to have their general support. And then secondly, then to provide the incentives to the universities and to provide the incentives to the businesses and the manufacturers that begin to actually both research and implement these technologies. And then finally, to have a trained workforce that knows how both to pull it together and then also how to use it in real time in the market.
I see, but do you not afraid the wars in industry goods. Some of sample was in this summer, where was doing the quota to some devices from China. Maybe some devices from China will be one quotas for battery, for example.
Yes, good comment. And part of the solution then is to encourage much more collaboration among countries in their best interest together, to say that if you will allow this import over here, we can allow this export over here, and do much more of a job of showing that to succeed, both countries, whether China and France or whether China and Russia, need to work together more closely for the larger well-being of both the economy and the climate. That is a critical issue that needs much more attention than I think we're really seeing right now.
So strong problem.
The interesting element is there is a need to do something differently. We have the wherewithal, the technology to do something differently, but it is a problem because politically and socially there are tensions that need to be resolved, and people need to get together and more collaboratively figure out ways to solve that problem.
Okay, and what the ways of collaboration? Your technological
in Nord-Pas-de-Calais,
and some maybe Russian, some center in Russia, some place maybe we don't know now.
Right.
Maybe Skolkovo, maybe Rosneft,
okay.
Maybe anything else.
Well, so now that Nord-Pas-de-Calais has a plan, they have a better understanding of what they need to do. They also know they need resources and expertise they don't have, but they may be able to turn to Russia. They may be able to turn to other nations to say, here's where we're trying to go. Here's the amount of investment that we have that we think is necessary to make this possible. But we need your help. We need your expertise. We need your resources to make this a go. We're inviting you in to collaborate with us.
Anything special?
Special in what sense?
For example, like China's sun panels.
Right.
Very special this summer.
That's right. And we need to understand that there is what we call an interdependency. France cannot go it alone. They will need expertise and technologies from China as their solar panels, for example. That needs to be part of the solution. Even as then the people in France begin to, so what, I'm not sure where you want to go with this.
One of interesting question is what the size of this cluster of the place of the revolution,
right?
Sort of revolution. What size? How much? It's much region of the Paris, for example, no? or maybe less on.
I'm not. Are you talking about size, geographic size?
Yes, size as.
So this is a region of 4 million people, for example.
For example.
All right, 4 million people. That is a region that is up against the Belgian border and up against the English Channel. Calais is one city, and Lille is another of their cities.
What are your expectations in this way?
So they are beginning with the process of, they've charted out their first 100,000 homes, 100,000 dwellings throughout the region. They're saying...
How much people and how much places in Europe maybe? Can you say...
Logistics.
Logistic, it's another way. How much place of the revolutionary industry in Europe? It's all...
Scientific level.
No.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
High-level places in Europe. What, for example, is in under Paris is a scientific place for development of Paris, Parc Calais. And how much places in Europe? Maybe you say 1, 10, 100. For maybe your simply your choice.
So I mean, France is a country of 65 million people, a country as a region of 4 million people. So they are beginning to work on the plan for themselves. And to the extent that they become successful, then other regions in France may follow. And there's interest in the European Union of what's going on.
You go from the energy way. Your number from energy way. How much people's in the
they want to be able to cut
use the new energy. Use the new energy and use new communication.
That's right. So their interest is in cutting energy use in half in the homes, in the businesses, on the roads, in their trains. All of that energy cut in half by 2050, and then powering all the remaining energy needs with a variety of solar resources, converting light into electricity, for example, sun panels, or wind energy, when the wind blows, producing electricity, converting waste into biomethane gas, so as to provide
green gas. Green gas, maybe?
Green gas, yes, would be one example.
Now France is use 85%
nuclear.
Nuclear.
That's right. And this region.
What do you do it with it?
So they have.
Think about it.
No, they have. In this region, France has 4 nuclear units. Okay, these are very large units, but they're also getting very old. They're like 35 years old. I think the oldest unit is pushing 35 years. And Electricité de France knows they're going to have to invest in a major retrofit, major upgrade of these aging units if they want to keep them running for another 35 or 40 years. They're going to have to spend money anyway. So the question is, do they spend it on upgrading old technology, or do they want to spend it in a way that rebuilds their infrastructure and allows the new resources to come and be a very productive part of their economic activity? So Electricité de France has not pulled back. They're actively part of our working groups. They're saying we need to see some initial success so we can count on the idea that we can retire our nuclear units at some point in the future. Like the Germans, although slower probably than the Germans are doing. That's right. So Electricité de France is saying, show us that it can be done and we can support you. And then they're saying...
It's a very interesting finance plan.
That's right. And then they're saying, as we gain experience with this transition, as we, in that part of France, we can export our services to help other people do the same thing elsewhere in France or elsewhere, as maybe even Japan, if Japan wants to start retiring its nuclear units.
Japan is now just unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're doing so great.
So they see this as an opportunity to develop expertise in 2 ways. One is how to make the transition on the one hand, meaning how to become more efficient, how to use renewables more actively in the market, and then as they become successful there, then to retire the existing nuclear units, and they can take that experience and make it available to show other people how it can be done as well. So they benefit locally, and they benefit by exporting their services to other regions as other regions learn.
Now they get great finance results in this year. Japan is stopped the deflation.
Yes.
It's great. It's unbelievable. But if you can sharing your finance plan
yes.
for Russia, we will be glad if you send by post, by any way we will print and we'll.
Well, the plan is printed already on the web. I can show you the coordinates where you can download it yourself. Mm-hmm. The master plan. There's a summary of it.
Okay. I ask about keep in touch and
you gave me your card. I will send you the details.
Okay.
So the good news is the master plan is in place. It's published. It's online. People can see it. And secondly, the Chamber of Commerce has hired a financial director. They hired them several months ago.
Producer.
I'm sorry?
Some kind of producing.
Well, he is putting together the financial mechanism to implement the master plan. So I sat down with him for about an hour and a half, and he was lining up all the different ways.
Very practical way.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like it's getting some very big interest.
We need so practical way in Russia.
Right. So I can, if you're interested, I can forward you his coordinates as well as the link where you can download the summary of the master plan. The bad news is it's in French, but I think they are putting it in English. It'll be available soon. Neither one of which is going to be helpful.
We decided this problem.
South, North, Français, Port Calais, nice, different way in future, in new technology future. Сравнение севера и юга Франции.
Compare the north and the south of the France. Can you make comparison with industrial development?
You're right.
Green energy, new technology, different way or not?
Yeah, well,
Normandy, for example, and Nice.
Nice has got an entirely different economy, entirely different climate and region than Nord-Pas-de-Calais. Nord-Pas-de-Calais, over half the energy use is in industry, very heavy manufacturing region. It used to be a coal mining region, but they don't mine coal there anymore. They've shut down their coal operations, and they're transforming. In fact, I toured a mine that is now used to train people how to use and install solar.
What is social responsibility of the Monte Carlo? You have a great responsibility, like not industrial country, so small but very rich.
Okay, big French company work in Port Calais, Total, Gaz de France.
Oh, Total, yes.
Gaz de Suez. Maybe list of big company work in your program.
Yeah, we have a number of companies that are involved in this. So involved in this, yes. In fact, you will read the master plan, 100 pages of our laying out of the plan, but 200 pages of the different companies, everywhere from Philips Lighting, Acciona of Spain. Acciona is a very big Spanish construction firm that specializes in sun to electricity photovoltaics. We've got a number of construction firms. We've got Schneider Electric, who is
very responsibility. The company, they in the summer. This summer was a big presentation in Russia. So smart decision. It's from there.
Yes.
Those they come in Russian market, but Russian market maybe not yet started.
Yes, yes. Well, you put your finger on it. I mean,
but we begin, and which way you initiate the social responsibility of big company? Which way?
I'm not sure. What do you mean, which way?
Which way you take off the process of?
Well, there is a very big concern in the region because there are a number of big companies. So part of the issue is one of governance, how you manage to support local businesses, small, medium enterprises, that they have a big contribution to make so that they're not overwhelmed by the Schneider Electrics of the world, for example, but that you can get Schneider Electric working more closely with local businesses, local organizations, whether housing, civil society housing, or whether private housing, or whether large-scale commercial enterprises.
But it's and the municipal.
Yes.
Across city, across some places, administration, some.
That's right.
Across some local administration. This is the right way.
That's right. No, exactly. In fact, one of the leaders of that region is Jean-François Caron.
Not across. We ask about not across the government way, or from the local way.
Right. You mean like the communities themselves. So, for example, yes, the regional council, which is the state-level government, and the Chamber of Commerce were active funders of this project, but so were a number of the communities like Calais and like a small community of Luçon-Goël, which is a former coal mining town I was telling you about. So they actually funded parts of that as well because they see that as a necessary component for their own well-being as a small community.
French Bank help, Crédit Agricole, BNP Paribas, Société Générale involved in this program. List of French bank.
No,
not least. It's the plan of use the
number
green energy.
That's right. That's a number of banking cooperatives and a number of banks that are participating. Willing to participate.
Banks.
Well, national as well. There is some discussion with.
For what they get money for green energy, for green building, for.
So, for example, there is a construction firm that is partnering with a civil society unit that's directed for social housing. Mm-hmm. The two of them have written a plan to retrofit quite a few of the existing residential units. And as that plan is then put together, they're now looking for the financing. So the bankers want to say, all right, here's the plan. What do you need from us, and how can we guarantee repayment given the energy savings in those housing units? So it becomes a way of guaranteeing a return on the investment because of the energy savings that you're able to retire that loan or that investment.
Crédit Agricole work together in your program. Crédit Agricole Bank in France.
Special
Crédit Agricole Bank.
Is take part in this program, Crédit Agricole?
I'm not sure what.
Portugal and Crédit Agricole work together, not?
Yes, yes. So we have the regional council, which provides the municipal authority at that level. The regional council is like the equivalent of a state in France, and they provide the regional authority. But we got the chamber, who is then providing the connections to the financial institutions and coming together, working with people who are trying to develop these projects.
Okay. In green energy, green plants, you work together Russian agriculture business and African agriculture business.
Yes.
For green gas, for green plants, vegetable biomass, work or not? African and Russian agriculture business company.
Что ты хочешь спросить?
Экологически чистое сельское хозяйство.
Возможно.
Работают, планируют работать.
Is you plan or is you use some way of cooperation with agriculture branch in Russia and, for example, in Africa? In organic, for example.
Yes.
Biofuel.
So
organic food, biotopливо, biofuel,
different.
Right. So what's happening?
Maybe it's better ask how much goods you do it with your in your industrial in Calais. How much different goods you do?
Goods, you mean of products? Or?
Yes, as products.
So to be clear, the plan was delivered only last October. They're in the middle of now implementing. So they've invited, and they now have something like 24 proposals from different entities saying, here's what we're proposing. I don't know that right now, for example, there are any agricultural projects being proposed, but they are primarily projects at the scale of some transportation and of housing improvements. For example, the 100,000 dwellings that they're using to test and train people how to get to the 1.7 million houses that are in the region. So they're going to start with 100,000. They're going to learn how to work with people that live in the house, whether they own, whether they rent, and how to train people to make the improvements and how to have local people more involved in supporting that. As they learn the benefits of the 100,000, then they will apply that slowly over time as proposals come in to hopefully get all 1.7 million houses implemented over the next 35 years. So we just submitted the plan. They're now setting up the governance to implement it. Governance means agreement with the regional council, the chamber, and the different entities, the different groups that are going to make the projects possible. And they've just received like 24 project proposals that they're sorting through now, saying how can we finance? Do we need to modify existing regulations to allow this to happen? Do we need to get exemptions or waivers so that this project can be tested? So they're going through all that right now. I mean, we've only delivered the plan, in October, so it's only a couple months old now. So lots. So what I would say very seriously, if people in Russia have heard about this and they have an idea what they might contribute to Nord-Pas-de-Calais, to write the Chamber of Commerce, and I can provide again the address, say we have this proposal. This is a good proposal that will help us in Russia, that will help you in Nord-Pas-de-Calais.
For example, Delaval, the company, we was in Connect and was a trip to the France with Delaval managers, and it was a very interesting trip. But they doing themselves plan. They have they plan. They have doing all itself include. Not nothing more. The company company is like all inclusive.
Okay.
What you mentioned, it's a good way, or maybe it's maybe more connective, or some open.
At this point, it's fairly open. As I said, they've invited proposals. They've got 24 of them, mostly within the region, but as more people begin to learn about it and can begin to imagine.
The role of communication.
That's right, exactly. So as improved communication happens, as people learn more, and then they have a better sense of how they might contribute, they would be very open to proposals, I think, from individual companies or through bilateral agreements that might be with, say, Russia and Nord-Pas-de-Calais, or whether a particular company in Russia working with a particular company in Nord-Pas-de-Calais. Schneider Electric might be a good example of something like that. I mean, they have
Schneider is good example. Yes.
Yeah, so they have workforce and contributions that might provide cross.
International, great company.
That's right. Does that answer your question? So the good news is we spent a year with them. It wasn't just us prescribing, just us telling them what to do. We actively worked, and there was an ongoing level of discussion for over a year. I've been there, I think, 7 times in the last year, spent probably 6 weeks there all together, meeting with people, talking, explaining, exchanging ideas. So the plan that we filed, that we gave them in a formal ceremony at the end of October, was the result of a collaborative process in Nord-Pas-de-Calais. They're beginning to implement, and they would be very open to ideas on helping their industries, their agriculture, their commercial enterprises put this plan to work.
Okay, we will be glad if you involve our as a journalist in this process.
Yeah, well, I've got your card, and I will follow up and send you some information.
Next question: different industry, shipbuilding, oil and gas industry. Oil and gas offshore platform present in Port Calais. You work in oil and gas industry, not?
That I have no idea about. I have to look at that.
It's Norwegian way.
Norwegian way, yes.
So
next step of our trip is Tromsø.
Well, yeah, actually. So one could imagine, as I was trying to answer the question that Oleg posed to me on the platform, as Nord-Pas-de-Calais is moving in a different direction, they may move away from processes that use coal, for example, now, that could use natural gas. And that natural gas could be imported from Russia, for example. That would be just one example of maybe some cross-collaboration that might provide a good transition for the region in a way that would benefit Russia.
Shipbuilding?
Yeah.
Stock exchange. You Port Calais work, Euronext, stock exchange, American stock exchange, BATS.
Yeah.
Different stock exchange.
Well, there is.
You work.
Did you use financial market instruments?
Yes.
Well, remember, we just started, so the answer is one of the solutions that we're proposing is what we call the sustainable.
Special ways.
Yeah, it's a special financing mechanism that would use the municipal authority of the regional council to back the issuance of bonds, and then they would set up a fund that would allow these projects to be funded with those bonds. The savings from the projects would be used to retire the bonds, and with a core of bonds that would be available, then they would invite everything from pension funds to even households and businesses to invest. So it's what we call a multi-loan origination. You start with the bonds as the core, the municipal authority as the core, and then you invite other people to contribute, and they may only contribute €100, for example, because that's all they might be able to afford as a household.
And you think currency exchange market can be involved in this?
That's right. Yes. And
Euronext in Paris. You bonds in Euronext Paris. На какой бирже вы ценные бумаги?
Which kind of market trade your fund?
Bonds and shoe.
Bonds. Have your IPO process?
Yes.
The IPO. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Those are the details that the finance director of the Chamber of Commerce is putting together right now. So
they do it. It's those business.
Well, so what they have done is begin inventorying or making a list of all the different financial mechanisms that are available, and all the different.
It's business of chambers.
Yes.
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 Stock exchange.
Well, they haven't gone to the stock exchange route yet. I mean, this is still early. It's only happened last October, so they've got some initial funding from the regional council. They've got some initial funding from the European Commission, European Union, and now they're beginning to look for ways to expand that fund to include maybe eventually a stock exchange. But for right now, it's more of a bond authority. But they have to have the municipal government, that is to say the regional council, authorize and provide the legal authority for that issuance to happen. And that's in the process of happening now.